Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericashow.com. How you feeling about the fact that it's Friday? Oh, really? I'm glad. Some people, they work through the weekend. Stephanie and myself always take the time to get some project done over the weekend. So I always get excited for it, but then we always end up working or doing something like that. Speaking of the lovely Stephanie, she's joining us in studio right now. Good morning. Hello.
Shop this weekend. Wait to write a new book this weekend.
I know. We've got a couple of big projects in the works right now. We're trying to decide which one we should do. Sometimes we have big projects and we say we're going to do them and then they don't happen for a reason.
It's not really work because it's fun to be creative. I love that. I've been doing it since I was a kid, just making stuff.
Yeah, it is. It's fun. I mean, we really enjoyed the response to our Calvin Coolidge book, and I'm looking forward to the next book and seeing what people's response are to that one as well. And then, of course, we actually have a new shop that we're going to be working on, a new merch shop. But yes, it's going to be coming soon. Yes, we are, and we're full of sunshine. And before we get started, though, we do have to give a big birthday shout out to Chris Morrill this morning.
Birthday!
Yes, it is.
Chris?
Yes, it is. Let's give him a little birthday dance. I'm no stranger to birthdays. You know the rules, and so do I. Good morning to Chris. Thanks so much for being a big supporter of the show. Happy birthday. Hope you have a wonderful day and a great weekend. Happy birthday, Chris. Blessings in your next year of life, says Sarah Palacios. Good morning to all of our friends. TGIF. So happy to be here.
G. Or no.
G. I think you're doing YMCA.
To make these letters.
Thanks so much to all of our friends for tuning in nice and early. Andy Opperman, Chris Morrill, Studio 314.
Yeah, Studio 314. This is a new name I've been noticing.
I know, he came out of nowhere and he's just like this big supporter now, and it's just kind of like...
Are you someone we know?
I know who it is. You know who it is?
You know who it is? Elon Musk?
Open up!
Oh.
FBI, open up! He's a Fed.
FBI, open up!
Just kidding.
Your shirt, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much.
It looks like watercolor.
Watercolor inspired, yes. Thank you very much. It's spring, even though it's going to be freezing cold in Missouri this weekend, but that's how Missouri be. All right, let's give them the news, Stephanie, because that's why they watch the show, isn't it?
Yes,
to see
because they want to be worldly and sophisticated.
Yes, it is. If you say worldly, though, the Christians will get upset, so be careful, Jew. Larry Elder and RFK, because you're not supposed
later.
Yeah, you're not supposed to be worldly. Larry Elder running for president, global homo agenda. Larry Elder running for president of the United States as a Republican. He's the Republican radio show host from California. He ran
I recognize his name.
Yeah, he ran for governor of California in the last election. It was like a special runoff election where they were trying to like unseat Gavin Newsom.
Trying to get rid of Newsom, but Newsom,
which would have been great.
Unseated.
Yeah, it would have been great. But we'll talk about that. And then RFK Jr. running for president of the United States. Another Kennedy going to be on the ticket.
Oh my gosh, that video is kind of funny.
Well, we're going to have to play the video and discuss it. You had a lot of strong feelings about the RFK video announcement video.
Of course, I'm placing judgment.
Yes, you are. Judge not, lest ye be judged. We'll talk about that in a little bit, and I'll play that clip, and we'll talk about Larry Elder and RFK run for president at the top of the show. At 7:18, SpaceX, win or fail? A lot of people were confused about the SpaceX rocket launch yesterday that failed to achieve orbit.
Right.
It did get off the launch pad. Some people said that itself was a success. Me not being a rocket scientist, I did my best to research it for today to try and understand it and explain it to everybody the best I can. So we'll talk about that at some point.
Perhaps I was getting goosebumps watching.
It was fun. Yeah, it was exciting to watch. I've got the video. I'll play it. We'll talk about it. It'll be a good show. At 7:30 this morning, a lot of blue check celebrities are really upset about Elon Musk taking away their blue check marks. Yeah, it's kind of a big deal. You and I we have a lot of strong feelings about this as well, Stephanie.
Blue check marks.
Yeah.
Not losing anything.
AJ Viviano says that he came here for Steffi. Good morning, AJ. Back off. You trying to die, sir? I'm just that's nice. I'm just kidding. Yes.
How dare you?
So we'll talk at 7:30 today about Alyssa Milano and a bunch of other people whining about blue checks. I was kind of whining about blue checks because it does affect me as a legacy verified account. I still have my blue check, but that's because I bought the one that they had. But anyways, you told me to. Anyways, we'll talk about it 7:30. It would seem you would think that it would not be news, but it is because of all of the butthurt that's going on online, and I've got a little bit of butthurt of my own actually. I side with Alyssa Milano. Just kidding, just kidding.
I'm here to listen.
That's why you'll be such a great mom one day.
That's
All
right.
right, coming up at 7:50 today, you can learn how to make TNT with artificial intelligence, but you need one weird trick. I see. I have trouble getting AI sometimes to make me like pictures of Bill Clinton holding a gun, right?
Yeah, AI won't even write about bathing suits and politicians.
I know. We tried to get it to like make pictures of politicians in bathing suits and it wouldn't do that. But you can get it to teach you how to make nitroglycerin and explode it. But you have to have this one weird trick that we will do at 7:51. You like that one weird trick? Yeah, we'll talk about that at 7:51 today. At 8 o'clock today, the best exercise that highly successful people use to be happier. Did you have time to read this article,
I
Steph?
sure did. And
Yeah.
it's actually something I don't think about myself.
I know, me too. I
It's
was
one
kind
of the things that I just never really care about.
I never think about it. It was kind of surprising to me when I saw
yeah,
it. So
me
I was like,
too.
all right, well, let's talk about this today because
Mhm.
Stephanie and I are all into the exercise.
Yeah, we need to put this into practice starting now.
At 8:30 this morning, we're going to talk. Oh no, at 8:23. Dear Abby, my husband transitioned to female. What do you do if your significant other that you married decides that they're no longer going to be Anne anymore? They're going to be Alexander or the vice versa.
I feel very strongly about this subject.
I do.
I was pulling out my wedding vows last night, and I'm going to read them to y'all
We're
today.
going to talk about that at 8:23 on the show today. I'm sure there'll be plenty of embarrassment to go around. At 8:30 today, this article to me seemed like a really big cope when I read it last night.
Too.
It's called 16 Life Choices You Shouldn't Have to Justify to Anyone Else. And I'm sure that most people, whenever they read a headline like that, they're like, yeah, go girl. You're so empowered. You shouldn't have to justify being 600 pounds and eating McDonald's three meals a day. You shouldn't have to justify yourself. You're beautiful just as you are. Slay queen, slay queen.
This is what libertarians would say.
No, I think
As long as you don't hurt anybody, do your thing.
no. That's not what that means. I'm still allowed to have an opinion on stuff, right? Libertarianism is just about the role of government. If government, when the government gets involved in something, that's the issue. But I'm allowed to have my own views. It's the same reason why you can be a Christian and be a libertarian, or you can be a bloody atheist as a libertarian, right? You can have completely different worldviews, but what matters is how you feel about government, right? So but 16 life choices you shouldn't have to justify to anyone. We'll talk about that and whether or not, we should judge. You were judging a little bit earlier, so we'll talk about that in the show.
My own ways.
We're all hypocrites.
That's right. Nobody's perfect.
Yes, good morning. If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show, I'm your host, Austin Peterson. We're glad to have you here. Thanks for tuning into the program. We appreciate you. Make sure that you click that like button if you're joining us on YouTube to help us spread the message of economic freedom and personal liberty. If you're over on Rumble, you have to be signed in to be able to comment or to comment or like on Rumble. You probably have to have the same thing for YouTube, but more people have YouTube accounts than have Rumble accounts.
Whenever I try to do things on YouTube, it's always like, sign in order to like or share this video.
For sure.
Sharing, I think you can do if you're not signed in.
Right. So there's like a half dozen people watching us over on Rumble. People usually tend to trickle in until about 8. Good morning, Rumblers. Nice to see you.
We see you.
Yeah, make sure that you click like on that feed and drop a comment. Introduce yourself. We'd love to meet you and get to know you because we like to make friends with our listeners and followers. All right.
Fortunately, we're not on Twitch anymore, right?
No, see, but some people might not have heard this. Do you want to share the news?
Well, while I was watching the video yesterday, all of a sudden you were like, oh, I was just banned from Twitch for 14 days, was it?
Yeah, 14 days.
Yeah, because you were spreading hate speech.
Yeah, hate speech yesterday. So the show yesterday really triggered them. And I probably caught their attention just because the topic was Matt Walsh. So they were probably tuning in because the left is so triggered by Matt Walsh. So they probably tuned in, and because I wasn't like, literally filleting a transgender person on the stream at that point, that, that's hate speech. So,
Well, that's too bad because I subscribe to you on Twitch.
I
So you don't
know.
put my subscription money
I
in
know we
anything.
we lose revenue for that, but that's what there is a price to free speech sometimes, I guess, and sometimes the price is heavy. So, but I will continue to speak freely, and if they ban me on every platform, guess what? You can still watch the show. You know why? Because we have a website, wakeupamericashow.com, and I have
Alex Jones,
yeah, and
he
I
still can be heard even though he's kicked off of everywhere.
exactly, and I have a written agreement, although not a formal agreement, but a written agreement with the company that multi-streams my show.
Yeah.
That of what my views are, and that I will not be suppressed by them, because really, that as long as I can use this multi-streaming software,
Yeah.
I can stream it at minimum to wakeupamericashow.com.
Okay.
So that the only thing that would prevent me from being able to like reach my audience would be if my multi-streaming software were to prevent me. So if all of the social networks ban me, wakeupamericashow.com will still be able to stream the show. It has chat functionality. It's not the best or most developed, but it is getting there. And I assume that when Twitter restores their live streaming ability, it will be more of a free speech platform as well. I imagine Rumble won't cancel me. So if YouTube cancels me for whatever reason, then Rumble's the next.
Yeah, if Rumble cancels you, I'd be very
I don't think it's going to happen.
That.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Because Rumble's got a lot of conservative ideas on there.
They do. Well, they've got a lot of people who are more, right of center. So, all right. So let's talk about who's running for president. Let's go ahead and start with RFK, because you had a lot of really strong feelings, if you will, about this one.
JFK's nephew.
No,
because he said something about his uncle.
Could be.
Who's his uncle?
I'm not entirely sure the family tree. Maybe somebody in the chat will drop that for us. Anyways, let's take a listen to what he had to say about the CIA and the military-industrial complex, because I'm pretty sure they're gonna pull. He won't last long if he gets very far. Take a listen.
My uncle came into office 2 months later. He was fighting his intelligence apparatus and his military because they wanted to invade. They wanted to do the Bay of Pigs. He was totally against it, and he let them roll over him. And in the middle of the Bay of Pigs, he realized they were lying to him, and he realized the function of the intelligence agencies had become to provide the military-industrial complex with a constant pipeline of war. And he came out during the middle of the night during the Bay of Pigs catastrophe, and he said, I want to take the CIA. Alan Dulles had lied to him, Charles Cabell, Richard Bissell, Louis Lemitzer, Curtis LeMay had all lied to him through their teeth. And he said, I want to take the CIA and shatter it into 1,000 pieces and scatter it to the winds.
I'm a little distracted by something else.
No, hold on. Let's hear.
And George W. Bush had the same problem. George W. Bush says the worst mistake he made as president was listening to CIA Director George Tenet tell him it was a slam dunk that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. And so the neocons and CIA got to go into Iraq and throw out and do regime change.
So that's kind of a big, those are some big statements there. And honestly, that message is the kind of message that would resonate very well with libertarians, right? Yeah,
we don't like the CIA.
Not big fans of the CIA or the military-industrial complex.
Neither was JFK or George Bush.
Well, he might be exaggerating John Kennedy's stance a tad regards to the Bay of Pigs, because Kennedy, you're still the president of the United States. If you're letting your military leaders roll over you and doing what they say, you still bear responsibility for that. So he's probably trying to whitewash his uncle's legacy a little bit there by trying to act like, at the end of the day, the buck stops here. That was that message that was on Harry Truman's desk.
Okay.
I still need to take you to the museum.
I know. I really want to go.
Maybe we'll go there next weekend when we're in Kansas City
for
that other thing. So we'll go see the Harry Truman Museum. It'll be like my 7th or 8th time there. But you were distracted by something else.
That man's voice. I mean, does he have laryngitis? Somebody put in the comments that he's about to have a heart attack. I mean, I don't know if he's really nervous and his voice is just quivering. It just seems like something's going on
Right.
there. I'm a little nervous for him.
Right. I kind of feel like the last thing that we need is another geriatric in the White House. But I mean, he's
old. There's something wrong with his throat.
yeah. He's definitely got something wrong with his throat.
Yeah.
But let's continue on. He's got lots more good clips. Take a listen to this.
This is what happens when you censor somebody for 18 years.
Yeah, he has been censored a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Never heard of him until today.
I got a lot to talk.
How could you not have heard of RFK before today? You being used to be all conspiracy, truther, anti-vaxxer person.
Oh,
He's like anti-vaxxer in chief.
What's his name? Ted Kennedy?
Ted Kennedy, yeah.
Who drove off the bridge with that
That
girl?
was Ted.
Yes, that's the one that I know about. Died.
Yeah, and
They cursed, every one of them.
yeah, for sure. Well, didn't one of them die like in a skiing accident going down a hill too, playing football or something like that? I read once.
Some really weird, bizarre accidents happen. Wasn't there like a plane crash too? Some sort of just all sorts of random catastrophes.
Not sure. AJ Viviano over in the live stream says it's known to be a vax injury. That's what he says. I wonder if that's what RFK claims it to be.
Throat?
Yeah.
Is the vaccination industry?
Injury. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he says that, but I mean, we have no way of really knowing that. So,
okay, so he's like going with the anti-vax.
He's like the anti-vaxxer in chief. Yeah, he's like it's like him and like that doctor Robert Malone, or who, not Robert Malone, but who's like the doctor who was like the initial conspiracy vax guy. Do you know who I'm talking about? Who said like the MMR vaccine causes autism? Who was that guy? Oh God, who was the doctor though? He's like the Uber. No.
Who like randomly was found dead, and he was doing all this research on autism and vaccines.
I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure.
Getting a little.
But I like, let's get out of the weeds and let's continue this.
Not only did we start censoring people at the very, very beginning, and you know, Hamilton Madison Adams said we put freedom of expression in the First Amendment because all the other all the other rights depend on that. If you give a government license to silence its critics, it now has license for any atrocity.
I appreciate that. I mean, he's got a very liberty message there to a large extent, and it's kind of refreshing to see that there are people behind him who say, I'm a Kennedy Democrat, because honestly, I feel like the Kennedy Democrats were definitely the Democratic Party at its height. Like, or else I should say that the Kennedy Democrats were the Democratic Party at their least, I don't know, virulent, like they're not at their worst,
He's just trying to make people nostalgic.
Perhaps, but if that's, you got to play on that. But here's the thing: how many other presidential candidates are quoting Madison right now? Right? How many other presidential candidates are quoting founding fathers? This is the only guy who's doing it. Honestly, whether or not I think he's kind of kooky on the vaccine stuff or whatever, I want to hear somebody out there who's talking about these things. And this I like this message.
I do too. I think we need to listen to videos of him from before he got the vaccination and see how he sounded.
Yeah, the interwebs say that his voice is affected by spasmodic dysphonia.
Oh my gosh.
That began in 2001. Wow.
Oh, so it was before the vaccination.
Spasmodic?
Unless he had other vaccinations.
Yeah, that's interesting. I have no idea.
Okay, so he's had this since 2001.
Mm-hmm. Since he was 43.
Okay. So yeah, something's going on. I mean, will he be able to give presidential addresses? Will he be able to give speeches? Are we going to have to listen to some sort of automated AI voice?
I don't know. Let's continue here though.
As soon as they knew they could censor us, they then went after the other part of the First Amendment, freedom of worship. They closed every church in this country.
Why do all of them people who say that our message, Steffi, can I just ask you something? Why is it always that the people who spread our message, or at least something similar to our message, are so damn kooky or have something else weird about them? Like, why can't we just have like a normal looking person who is like healthy and strong and sane and capable of delivering this message and just doesn't seem like a freaking weirdo?
Oh, that's you.
No. Well, what was ironic about that too, though, Stephanie? You're right. But the thing that's ironic,
Those things.
right? But here's the problem: libertarians don't trust normies. So the thing is that in order to get past the libertarian primary, you have to win the approval of libertarians, right? And then you can go out and campaign in the general public. But because libertarians are not normies, they're weird. They don't like people like me. They don't trust people like me because we seem a little bit too normal,
Yeah,
right?
they'd be like, oh, he's
He's a
conservative
fed.
in
He's a right. He's a conservative in disguise. Just because I don't like do cocaine off of babies' heads in public and then post it on YouTube doesn't mean that I'm not a libertarian, right? Doesn't mean that I don't hold the exact same socio-political views as libertarians. But that's the problem, is that it's kind of the same thing with the Republican Party. In order to win a Republican nomination, you have to appeal to the base of the Republican Party.
People too.
Of course I do. It's the same as Democrats. Same as Democrats.
Yeah, Donald Trump is not like anybody.
The problem with the primary process is that you have to win the freak show contest amongst the freaks, and then you have to go somehow and win an election amongst the normal people, which is why I think normal people, when they go to the ballot box, are like, why do we always have these terrible shit candidates? It's because they had to win a primary first amongst psychopaths.
Yes.
What do you think about that? Am I right or am I right?
I mean, you have to set yourself apart from others. And I guess we're just used to people making these big statements, like Lady Gaga wearing these like crazy costumes.
Yeah.
That's what makes people celebrities.
Yeah, acting like a weirdo. Well, it's because it's much more interesting than watching normies. It's true. It's true.
It's become a reality show person, basically, and then you'll become president.
Yeah. How about just have a morning talk show? How about that? And we'll be
for you.
We'll be somewhat weird. Of course you would, Stephanie, my lovely wife. I'd vote for you, Stephanie. You'd probably do a lot better than I would. All right, let's move on. We talked about RFK. We didn't get to mention Larry Elder, but I mean, we barely mentioned him. But I mean, he's running for president. He's not going to win the nomination. Larry Elder, anyways, he's okay. He's all right.
Just wondering why Larry wants to run. I wonder why anybody wants to run. And we were talking about book sales. Yeah. Everybody wants to.
I should have, when I ran for president, I should have had a book ready to sell, because I would have made a lot of money. But I didn't think about it. I was just like, oh damn, Rand Paul's dropping out, and Gary Johnson's not even running at this point. And I was like, somebody's got to get out there and fight for what we believe in. So, anyways, but maybe we'll do it again one day. All right, so let's talk about the SpaceX rocket launch. Yesterday, SpaceX launched their super heavy Falcon rocket. This is the rocket that is supposed to go to Mars. It's also the one that they'll use to take payloads to the moon. NASA is hoping to be able to piggyback off of Elon Musk's rocket here.
Isn't that something?
Well, yeah, exactly, because they need it, because they don't have the funding to be able to get their own like astronauts and stuff.
They gave Elon funding.
Yeah, because the idea is that eventually they'll be able to use it to transport their own goods and services. I believe that SpaceX now, for their smaller rockets, does transport astronauts to the International Space Station and does ferry. Essentially, it's a ferry service for them, so they contract with a private service.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of interesting.
You take your car on the ferry.
Yeah, exactly. NASA wants to buy a ticket. One Patriot Listener One's over here with us on Rumble. Good morning. Good morning. Let's give him a big shout. I love seeing the numbers start to like bump up on Rumble. Sometimes it gets even more bigger. It gets even bigger than YouTube. Nice to see you here. If you're watching us on Rumble, introduce yourself. We'd love to see your name over in the chat. Yeah, and drop a like. We'd love to hear from you. Where did you find us? What caused you to tune in? We'd love to hear more from you and make friends. Okay, so SpaceX rocket launch. I've got the clip over here. Let's go ahead and play it, and we can
of the one where it's blowing up.
Well, this is the full like launch to the explosion. Yeah, let's play it and we can react to it live.
I love it's like New Year's.
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Look at this thing, it's giant.
The noises.
There it goes.
The noise is unlike anything that you hear in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cheering. It makes me so happy.
It's fun to watch.
Yeah.
There it goes. Now see, there it goes. Look at that thing, it's huge. It's as tall as a 40-story building.
Oh my gosh. Everyone's just so excited.
I know, there it
can
goes.
Just imagine the hard work of all of these people.
Oh, yeah.
Behind the scenes.
And who knows how many people, right?
I don't know.
Hundreds, thousands?
Apollo 13.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just watched that recently.
The room is like watching and waiting.
Pulsing reports first stage engines nominal. What a sight from the ground cameras at Starbase.
Here it goes.
Flying at twice the thrust of the Saturn V heading to space.
Oh my God!
Oppositional signal, surface proceed.
I love hearing them talk through there.
Yeah, it's fun, right?
Walkie-talkie things.
Back up. Going through the period of maximum aerodynamic pressure.
They didn't even know if it would be able to get off the launch pad.
As the velocity increases, the density of the atmosphere is decreasing.
Maybe a reporter that's talking. I wonder who he is.
They must have, even if they're reporters, they're probably experts.
He must know what's happening.
They probably got science experts or rocket experts on that.
For this, than a sports game any day.
Yeah, this is fun. Now it looks like they're starting to have problems.
Uh-oh. People are still cheering, though.
They are, because we'll talk about it here in just a moment.
100 seconds into flight.
There it goes.
Our next major activity is going to be shutdown of the first stage. Houston Tracking Station now acquiring the vehicle. With shutdown, we will get separation of Starship and Super Heavy. And
Starship and Super Heavy separating.
When Starship separates, we light up 6 engines in a staggered sequence. And if all goes well, those 6 engines will burn for almost 6.5 minutes. Onboard view from Starship.
Aww.
Oh, cool, yeah.
Yeah.
The video.
Views of the Raptor engines on the second stage as we prepare for stage separation. Now, after
Isn't that cool that we can actually see it in real time like that?
And begin a boost back maneuver for landing in
Somebody
the Gulf.
showed a picture of Apollo 13 and what it looked like out the window.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that on
Yeah,
TV
the astronauts took those pictures.
Yeah, I mean, that was cool. We even had that technology back then.
Yeah, in the 60s.
Continuing to fly, 2 minutes 40 seconds. Let's get ready for main engine cutoff.
Now it's looking like it's starting to tumble a bit.
Beginning the flip for stage separation.
So again, the flip maybe was planned.
Yeah, that guy just said something about cutoff.
Doug says not an issue at that point, just water vapor condensing because of the pressure.
Okay.
It's fun to watch.
I know.
It does appear to be tumbling at this point.
As of right now, we are awaiting stage separation.
Yeah.
Huh.
Where Starship should separate from the Super Heavy booster.
Super heavy.
Isn't that cool? It's a cool name.
It probably is super heavy.
Right now, it looks like we saw the start of the flip, but obviously we're seeing from the ground cameras the entire Starship stack continuing to rotate. We should have had separation by now.
Oh.
Obviously, this is does not appear to be a nominal situation.
Yeah,
A
it does appear
nominal
to be
situation.
spinning,
Yeah, normal.
but I do want to remind everyone that everything after clearing the tower was icing on the cake.
What?
So happy.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's not a failure. That's a
And there,
success.
as you
I agree.
As we promised, an exciting end to
As
the
they say, reach for the stars.
Heck yeah.
Integrated test flight.
Integrated test flight. So exciting stuff. I mean, I love watching that, don't you?
I do. It kind of like, it almost makes us slightly emotional, I feel like.
Me too, actually. I kind of tear up a little bit, watching it, just because, as I was saying earlier, what are the signs of American greatness? I think this is an example of a sign of American greatness. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. It's like beyond our comprehension. I know that I'll never understand this stuff and I'll never work with this stuff. I don't have the IQ to do it.
Admire it for sure,
Yeah.
though. Yeah. So the launch. This was the that Super Heavy that launched for the very first time, and it's kind of the culmination of years of work that he's put into this. The company made a first go at getting this launch off the ground on Monday, but a pressure valve in the Super Heavy booster apparently froze. So they SpaceX teams worked to resolve a number of unidentified issues to make a second attempt possible on Thursday. They repeatedly stressed the experimental nature of the launch and said that any result that involved Starship getting off the launch pad would be a success. The rocket flew for nearly 4 minutes and successfully separated from the Super Heavy booster, which is a key in-flight milestone, before suffering what the company called a rapid, unscheduled disassembly. I love the terms that they have for space rocket go boom. It's very funny.
Fancy when they say it. It doesn't sound like such a catastrophe.
Yeah, so the Starship is designed to carry cargo and people beyond Earth, and it's critical.
People were on.
Yeah, they're not ready for that yet.
No.
Yeah, but they say that it's critical to NASA's plan to return astronauts to the moon. 2 years ago, they won a nearly $3 billion contract from NASA to use Starship as a crewed lunar lander. When I say crewed, not CRUDE, but crewed, like a crew of team,
Oh,
a team
being
of people.
crewed.
Yes.
Yeah, I just wonder how many of these things do they have ready to go? Because it's like, can they reuse the same thing
They
that
do
was
have,
in the sky?
well, they can't reuse the one that blew up, I'm guessing, but they do have reusable fuel tanks, which was one of Elon Musk's innovations, because some of the launches that they've had for their other rockets, they actually can return the fuel pods, what would you call the fuel tanks, to Earth by having the rocket land on a launch pad as it comes back down.
Wow.
See, because it used to be that they would disassemble and then they would break up and then they wouldn't be reusable.
Yeah.
But Elon Musk has successfully created a rocket that can come back to Earth and land on a launch pad. They've created these floating platforms out in the ocean that they can actually bring this thing in and land it back down. I mean, this is science fiction stuff. You know what I mean?
Really
Like, how many
is.
movies have we seen, like space, where you see spaceships like landing on a planet and then just coming down on the onto the launch pad? Like, you look at it in a movie, you're like, oh, that's no big deal. But for where we're at in our technology on Earth, that's a huge deal to be able to accomplish that.
It's
To bring,
space.
yeah, to be able
Initiative.
to be able to bring back a rocket and to reuse it, that's huge. It's a huge technological achievement.
I think Elon Musk is the man of the year, probably the man of the decade.
Probably the man of our lifetime.
He's anywhere. I mean, in the meantime, he was probably behind the scenes on Twitter taking away check marks or possibly using his personal funds to pay for check marks for LeBron James.
I'm glad you brought that up, because it's
multitasking. He's like, hey guys, BRB, I'm just launching a rocket,
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, exactly. I feel happy whenever I manage to cut a 30-second clip from my morning show and get it up to YouTube on a daily basis. Imagine what he's doing on a daily basis to be able to accomplish what he accomplishes.
Feel inspired. I've always said to myself, like Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, Gandhi, like they only had 24 hours in a day.
Right.
And look at all they did to impact the world. So it's like, what am I doing?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you brought up the whole issue about blue check marks and LeBron James and all of that stuff, because apparently blue check marks are getting very upset about losing their blue check marks. Elon Musk has been taking them away from certain celebrities. However, apparently he also has decided to pay for the check marks of other celebrities and things like that. Linda Carter, she was of Wonder Woman fame, had a really good tweet about it where she says, "No blue check mark. Okay, we'll settle this the old-fashioned way." And she played this. I'm playing this clip that showed her going up against a lookalike. Her doppelganger, right? She's like taking it on. I have to say, Linda Carter probably had the best tweet about losing her blue check mark.
Yeah, just being, what is that, tongue-in-cheek?
Yeah. But not all celebrities were behaving tongue-in-cheek about this, honestly, because I think Alyssa Milano was trending this morning.
She was basically saying that Twitter is like a social security card, that it shows her identity and it would be defamation.
It's not equivalent to a social security card, but it is important to sort of prove that an account is who they say they are, because there were a lot of problems in the early days of this when they had companies being impersonated and people, like, stock values went down and stuff. I think that there was value in the old system, in the legacy blue checkmark verified program. Yeah.
People on Catfish ended up on Catfish because people were faking them out and claiming that they were these celebrities.
Right. Alyssa Milano tweeted, so by revoking my blue check mark because I wouldn't pay some arbitrary fee, someone can just be me and say a bunch of bull stuff. Does that mean Twitter and Elon Musk are liable for defamation or identity theft or fraud? I mean, that goes a little bit too far. Although you and I think we both agree that it was better when it was when you had to do something, you had to have some kind of notability to be able to get one. I do think that was a better system than the current one.
Have things more organized and clear in your mind. You knew how to get to the person you want to get to.
Yeah.
How do I get to this celebrity? But also I say, how do you decide who gets a blue check mark and who doesn't? Because I knew a lot of people who thought they were deserving of a blue check mark, and they would be contacting Twitter for years saying, I deserve this. I've done this. This is, all the success I've had in my life.
Right.
But they never got one. And it's like, who really deserves it?
Yeah.
Where do you draw that line?
Well, I'll get to that in just a second. I do want to say reset so that people who are just tuning in know what's going on. Good morning. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show. Grateful to have you here as a listener. My lovely wife, Stephanie Peterson, is joining us.
Hello.
On Fridays, we like to do Family Friday, where I bring in a family member. Sometimes my brother will come on the show from Boston, and we have kind of like a fun. It's much more of a kind of a fun show. We do news and topics and things like that, but then we also like to just goof off and do silly stuff.
Right.
Yeah, and just have fun.
It's not all about the politics.
I know, for sure. I did want to give a special shout out though to the Rumble audience, which has been growing nicely.
Yeah.
Our friend Blutreich joined us. Well, it's either Blutreich or it's Blutreich or something like that.
Blutreich.
Yeah. So he was saying how he watched the Falcon launch and said it was very exciting. Grateful to have you. Thanks for the comment, Blutreich.
That's cool.
And if everybody who's watching us over on Rumble right now gives us a like over on the stream, I would be super grateful. Same thing over on YouTube for our Cantina Crew Legacy Blue Check members. We'll give you the VIP status.
I'll take super chats too.
Yes, we will for sure. But I do want to talk about the AP for Liberty shop here in just a few because we've got a bunch of new items. We'll talk about that in just a minute.
Yeah, you made a new shirt that really has been selling like hotcakes.
It is. But let's not get to the commercial just yet. I want to talk about finish talking about the Legacy Blue Check stuff.
Yes.
Because I saw that people were talking. Oh yeah, Hikaru K. Ohio gozaimasu. He said there was some stupid journalist that said that she was literally going to be murdered if she doesn't have her check mark.
You actually have that?
I've got it pulled up. Yeah, Julie Melner at Using Cigarettes on Twitter writes for the New York Times, of course.
Using Cigarettes. What kind of name is that?
I don't know. It's a good name, but she says Elon thinks this is a funny joke. As a former verified account who lost their blue checkmark, I know how dangerous this really is. People are going to die.
Okay, I wouldn't be surprised if people really do die, but it could possibly be due to suicide or possibly people becoming violent because they lost their check mark and they are getting jealous of other people. That's the only reason why I think people might die. People are weird, okay? They get really all in their feels about stuff.
That is not Elon Musk's fault. If you kill yourself over a blue check mark, I'm not going to say. You know what? I probably better not say.
It's like hurting people.
Don't say it, Austin. Yeah.
You took away my blue check mark.
I guess. Good morning to the Reveal of Liberty, who's joining us this morning. Yeah. Yes, we do. We know Reveal.
Is this Matt?
Glad to have you here. Somebody says that I thought that was a spoof account. Is it a spoof account? They said they work for the New York Times. Yeah, no idea. So it's freelance.
Using Cigarettes is kind of an odd name for a journalist.
It is true. Our friend Oliver Gia, who we met while we were in Kyoto, Japan.
Oliver, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's upset because Elon Musk, like you said, has opted to purchase blue check marks for Stephen King, LeBron James, and William Shatner. 3 people who can absolutely afford their own freaking ding-dang check marks, in my opinion.
What?
But here's the thing.
Why then?
This is what Oliver Gia said. He says, this is really pathetic. If Elon can give people he likes free blue check marks, he can also personally take them away from those he doesn't like. Very true. He says, so much for the marketplace of ideas when the owner is clearly playing favorites
Oh, he is.
Yeah, he says that Oliver says, I've been saying this since the beginning, but you're going to feel very silly if you seriously believe that Twitter being run by one guy who makes his decisions based on what side of the bed he wakes up on every day will mean a town square of free speech.
He's on our side, though, because he does follow TRHL or redhead, the redheaded libertarian. He follows her.
Yeah,
on Twitter, and he follows Tim Pool.
I think of Elon Musk as sort of a left libertarian, if you will, right? He's
in groups.
he
kind of sides with us.
he reminds me a bit of like Russell Brand, if you will.
Yeah.
He's kind of like a left libertarian in that sense. So,
Yes.
but yeah, Elon Musk, he's wishy-washy sometimes, but that's what you get, right?
If you want to be the CEO of a company, go try.
It's the end of an era on Twitter. Many users said Thursday they had lost their verified blue check marks. Accounts with verified blue check marks had been awarded the badge based on the company's previous leadership to identify accounts belonging to public organizations and high-profile users, namely me. Sad.
Here, I have 2 suggestions. One, take away all blue check marks. It's just like with children.
Yeah, what's the point?
Everybody can't have the toy. Nobody gets the toy. Sorry, kids, you all can cry together. Or 2, maybe there should be a reality show challenge where people compete to get a blue check mark.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's based on your ability.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
I mean, but that's the thing. It's like it honestly felt before like it was more of a meritocracy, which is weird because you wouldn't have expected that under leftist leadership, that it would have been more of a meritocracy than what it is today.
Everybody's deserving.
Everybody gets it. It's like everybody gets that. All you have to do is just pay them, which is okay. I'm not against that. You want to charge, that's fine. I mean, but it does feel a little bit like a participation trophy almost,
I could see people on the left also suggesting that maybe there's some sort of program where they get donated funds to help them purchase blue check mark, because some people will probably be like, I can't afford one, so maybe there's like a special,
We're gonna have a charity
organization.
Well, that's
Twitter
what
check mark organization.
Well, isn't that kind of what it is with Stephen King, LeBron James, and all that stuff? It's kind of like they refuse to pay it, so he's like, all right, I'll just do it.
Case.
Yeah, they're a charity case, apparently.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep, we need to start a charity, Austin, you and I.
A blue check charity. Pay for all blue check marks.
So we can start a charity.
We already have that. It's called called the Wake Up America Show.
Yes. Yes. We're here advocating for those of you like Pope Francis. Pope Francis, if you're listening, we're going to get you your blue check mark back with our funds.
All right. Well, we got to go to a commercial break for a couple of minutes so I can go to the bathroom. But here's the thing. Before we do, I want to talk about a new item we've got over at apforlibertyshop.com. That is the Call the Cops. I don't give a a rat's patoot, if you will. Call the Cops IDGAF shirt. It was kind of like somebody contacted me and was like, hey, would you put that design on a shirt? Because I had it on my
I know the design has been around.
It's been around for a while. Yeah. I had it on a hat, but everybody's like, somebody contacted me and was like, I want this, but I want it on a shirt. I was like, okay. And then all of a sudden everybody was buying them. Right. So we're going to go to commercial break. But while we're on commercial break, why don't you check out the Call the Cops I Don't Give a Sweet Rat's Patoot shirt over there. And if you are also in the mood, take my shoe off. My shoe designs, American flag shoe designs, are also available. Check those out.
Got me through Japan.
Yeah, they're very comfortable.
Like 10 miles in those shoes a day.
Yes, she did. And they're super comfortable, and they're really good looking. You got the American flag, stars and stripes on there, and it's also got the AP logo on the inside.
An AP shoebox.
It comes in a very special limited edition AP for Liberty Shop shoebox as well. Check them out. Go to apforlibertyshop.com. Shop around during the commercial break, and we'll be back in 5 minutes. What's the next topic, Stephanie, before we go? Tease it out.
What are we talking about next? I mean, we're going to be talking about Dear Abby, a person is transgender in their marriage.
If your significant other transitions. We'll talk about that when we get back.
Okay.
On the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
I like shooting things, but whenever I can't shoot something, I like to cut things. My life isn't all about shooting and stabbing and cutting, though. Sometimes I have to do actual work, but when I work, I still like to have fun. And there's nothing less fun than trying to cut with a crappy knife. Thankfully, from the ancient sect of Christian knights, who also loved cutting and stabbing, comes a new implement that has received my personal blessing, the Templar Knife. Like the ancient sword of Excalibur, you don't choose a Templar knife, it chooses you. You just decide what kind you want on the website first, however, and then order it online, and then it chooses you. The Templar Knife comes in a variety of shapes. As a man of culture and taste, I have decided I will never use a terrible knife again. And thanks to the inspiration provided by this excellent product, I have decided to launch a new crusade against anyone using less than superior knives. Join me, brothers and sisters, by visiting uppercuttactical.com/pages/Templar-knives. That's a lot of slashes. For that, you'll need a Templar knife. For 10% off, use code AP for Liberty and join me in a quest for glory, for liberty, for Christendom, for the Templar Knife. Get yours today. Fire.
Hello, this is Barack Obama, and let me tell you why Austin Peterson stinks, and you should never pay attention to anything that he has to say. First of all, he's a libertarian, and we all know libertarians are idiots. They don't realize how important government is to everything that we do. I recently became aware that Austin has opened up a libertarian shop at apforlibertyshop.com. Now, I'm asking you as a personal favor to me that you never ever visit apforlibertyshop.com. With all of the great Liberty merchandise there, the last thing that we need to do is to get people spreading this message around the country, because then they might start thinking that they don't need government. And that's the last thing that good Democrats like us want. So if you love democracy, like me, and hate freedom, then don't visit AP for Liberty Shop. Like I said, whatever you do, do not visit apforlibertyshop.com. I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
It is better to settle these matters in the courts than on the streets, and new laws are needed at every level. But law alone cannot make men see right.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupamericashow.com. Nice to see you here today. It's Friday, so I'm sure you're feeling good, right? Well, if you are, make sure you smash that like button to help us spread the message of freedom across the world into other people's social media feeds. Joining us live in studio for Family Friday is my lovely bride, Steffi P. Good morning, Steffi.
Queen Elizabeth's 97th birthday.
Would have been.
Yeah.
You're doing the Queen Elizabeth wave. Yes, she She does this. Yes, we've been watching The Crown lately.
Yes, we need to watch it tonight in honor of her birthday.
Yes, we will. Also, maybe we should go see Super Mario Brothers movie tonight.
I know. We've been planning on seeing the Super Mario Brothers movie for like 2 weeks.
I know. I want to see it. So let's go see Super Mario Brothers this weekend. Okay, let's do it. Do. All right, welcome to the show. It's time for us to talk about something. Stephanie, this might be the weirdest Dear Abby column that I have ever read. It didn't make any sense to me the way that it was set up, because the title over at the New York Post was Dear Abby, my husband transitioned to female.
Right.
The problem with this article, though, is that her letter wasn't really about the whole transitioning thing.
So they're probably
New York Post.
Yeah. Is more of a left.
No.
Leaning.
New York Times is left leaning. New York Post is they're like Hamiltonian Republicans. Yeah, they are.
So that is interesting.
Yeah, they're like I won't say neocons necessarily. They're more they're New York Republicans, if you will. So I'm going to read it to you because it's not very long, and just you tell me the audience. I'm desperate to hear your thoughts about this one. I can't wait to read the comments because I want to know if you feel the same way that I feel about this. All right, let me just read it. Dear Abby, my wedding ring from my first marriage was perfect. My ex asked my dad for my late mother's ring to propose to me. He then took mom's ring to the jeweler and had the stone put in a modern, beautiful setting that I loved. We are divorced now because my husband transitioned to female. We're amicable, all things considered. I can't imagine a lovelier ring if I want to remarry someday. If I do, can I use the same ring because of its sentimental value? I think I may want a fresh start in a different ring, but I can't imagine anything better, and I feel stuck thinking about the ring. Okay,
so we just skim over the reason for the divorce. We're just like,
I mean, yeah. So the headline was the headline was Dear Abby, my husband transitioned to female. So you think that she's going to ask they divorced because her husband transitioned.
She's at peace with this. The fact that she divorced her significant other because they transitioned.
Right. But the question wasn't about the transition. The question was about whether or not she should use the ring from that marriage that had her mother's stone in it, which she thinks is perfect for her next marriage. So, I mean, that's a separate question, obviously.
Yeah,
but
I want to answer both questions.
I know. Okay, well, you know what, Stephanie? I'll tell you what, let's give you the floor, Stephanie. Go ahead. Which one?
Okay.
Start with the second one, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So second one about the ring.
Yes, start with the ring, because I feel like that's less consequential than the other one, okay?
I know people like to wear their family members' wedding dresses and use their jewelry. Just don't do it. It's almost like a bad omen. Just... You don't want that.
Really? Why?
Yeah.
Explain that.
Because if things like this happen, people do not respect marriage enough to actually use their family members' stuff. And then you have these types of dilemmas inside. Oh my gosh, what should I do with my mother's ring?
I guess I'm glad, because I actually was considering asking my dad for my mother's ring to propose to you.
So it's like I would have kept that thing.
But you say it's a bad omen, so I would have transitioned to a woman at this point if I had used my mother's ring according to the logic here.
So we'll get to that.
Okay, your vows. Now hold on.
She should do. I mean, I really think save one ring for each marriage. I feel like, their next partner might be a little weirded out by the fact that this is the ring from an ex. Now, how would you feel if I was like, here, give me this ring that my ex gave me?
You wouldn't say it like that. You would say, here, give me this ring that was my mother's. It was my mother's diamond in this ring, and I would like to continue this legacy. It's a perfect ring for me. I would think that the husband would be like, oh yeah, I just saved like $4,000 or $5,000. So I mean,
the meaning behind it. She wore that when she was making love to her ex. Like, that's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Sloppy seconds?
I don't know, but it's not the ring. I mean, sloppy seconds is like the act itself. So I mean, you're already with another dude. I mean, what does the ring matter, Yeah,
but her mother's ring was pure in itself, and then she tainted it by using it for this marriage that she got divorced.
Yeah, Camelia's making some sense here. She says nobody goes into it thinking they don't respect marriage and that it won't work out. Exactly. You're like, oh, I respect marriage. Well, everybody, no, that's not vows. All right. Well, we haven't gotten to the vows part yet, but I'll tell you why we're not talking about the vows part yet. Because I haven't told my side of the story yet. Yes. So here's my thinking. If I were to transition to a female, I would release you of your vows. I would say it would be okay for you to divorce me. So my question to the audience is, if your partner, if your husband or wife transitioned to the same gender as you, would you divorce them?
I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
See, I don't know.
Okay, can I read my vows to you?
No, not yet.
No,
we're building up to that. Okay.
No.
So you're just
Don't agree with divorce unless it's like you absolutely are unsafe. You're being abused. Like this person is just hurting your life in a lot of ways.
right.
I think that's after you go to therapy with your partner, after you try everything,
Right.
then consider divorce. I'm a child of a divorced family. I know how it feels. It's
Right.
not fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Some people were saying that Steffi's mic cuts out if she talks while you're talking.
Oh, sorry. I just won't cut you off.
No, it's okay. I flipped a setting, and that should be fixed. So you can talk like normally now.
Yes.
And hopefully that will be fixed.
Okay.
So if it's fixed, somebody let us know. So here's the thing: if you were to transition to a male, Stephanie, you would want me to stay married to you.
I would understand that you'd be upset at me, and I would hope that because we made a vow to each other till death do us part, that we would work this out and figure it out.
Stephanie, I married a woman.
Yeah.
Okay. I did not marry a man. Okay. I'm not a homosexual.
Right.
All right. And I think that would be a very destructive act, not only to yourself, but also to our marriage. If I did that to you, I would completely understand if you chose to leave me. Okay. But you seem to think otherwise. Let's continue.
Yeah.
Now you wanted to.
You want me to talk about my
Yeah. Go ahead and talk.
Okay.
You've been dying to talk about your vows.
I thought about my vows very long and hard. I rewrote my vows like at least 5 times because I wanted to be able to stay true to these and know 100% that I could stay true to these because so many people, they just throw their vows out when they get divorced.
Yeah.
They just don't even remember them anymore.
Yeah.
So this is the part that I specifically wrote for this reason. I promise to grow along with you and be willing to face change as we both become the best versions of ourselves. That was basically leaving room for any types of changes or growth or issues that would come our way.
This is a little bit more than just change, Stephanie. It's a little bit bigger than just like, oh, I'm going to lose my hair, or oh, I might have to have
Right.
surgery. Here I might lose a leg or whatever. Or might be horribly disfigured in a fire or something like that. You're changing who you are as a person, right? You're not the same person that you were before in that sense.
You are. You're dressing differently.
You're not just dressing differently.
And you're changing your parts, most likely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So what is your partner supposed to do, right? Like you're no longer able to have a normal, healthy sexual relationship with your partner.
Right. So the sex part, sure, that would change. But everything else, like you'd still be able to do the same activities with the person. You can still share the same hobbies. You'd still be a libertarian. You would still, enjoy guns. You would still, there's certain parts of you that you probably still would have.
I think that if someone transitions their gender, that is absolutely grounds for divorce in my mind.
Yeah. I just wonder, what is the whole point of marriage, at all? If people are just like picking and choosing, what is grounds for divorce?
Well,
why get married?
It's a great question. You do it typically because you want to raise kids together, I would say, or because you want to be able to acquire the same benefits that are offered through the government to married couples, right?
Yeah.
There are other benefits, there's tax advantages to marriage. There's, line of succession for kings and queens, right? There's lots of reasons to get married. There's a lot of reasons not to get married.
Yeah, absolutely.
You seem disappointed by my response to this.
Just because I hate divorce.
Yeah, I do too.
And before we got married, I was very skeptical of marriage for this reason. Because again, people one day they say, you know what, you've changed too much. So I'm not in this anymore. And it's like, what do you do? Marriage is supposed to be this long-term contract. So what is grounds to end it?
I think transitioning your gender is grounds to end it.
Yeah.
Right. I think, that's the kind of thing that once you've undergone that surgery, it's irrevocable. Right.
Yeah.
You've committed an act of harm to yourself.
Right.
And it's a voluntary harm. Right. What would you think if somebody was like, if I started pouring bleach in my eyes, right? What if I started, cutting off my toes, right? Started chopping off my toes and behaving like.
In that case, you would be sick.
Right.
You would have a problem, right? A mental illness or some sort of, health problem.
Do you believe?
Should I divorce you if you have a health problem? If you became paralyzed, for example, you're not the same person anymore.
Is someone transitioning their gender to you a sign of mental illness?
Well, they technically have gender dysphoria.
Not all of them do.
Well, the people that end up transitioning, they have to prove that they have gender dysphoria by two professionals.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, because I work with clients that are in the process of transitioning, and you have to have 2 letters. Like I had to write a letter before. Wow. And in order to go to a surgeon, you have to have those letters with you.
Is that really that hard these days?
You can go you can go to like a professional, mental health professional who can, write that letter, but they are supposed to evaluate you first and assess you.
The Surreal Truth over in the live stream is joining us. Says, worth saying it doesn't end the marriage. It means the marriage is no longer valid. Never was, because you lied at the start. I married a woman. You're saying you were always a man. That's an interesting point.
So in terms of the wedding vows, does it say if you lie before these vows are taken, then it's okay to?
Where would it say something like that anyway?
It's like maybe there should be a disclaimer at the beginning of your vows that says, if your now wife or husband lied before this day, then you are able to throw your vows out the window.
Joyce.
Maybe they need that.
Joyce Denton over on Facebook this morning. We don't often get a lot of Facebookers, but nice to see you. Says, there are so many reasons why I'm glad that I'm not a man, and this is one of them. We are just different creatures. LOL. Good point.
I'm not saying that it wouldn't be hard. We would have to go to big time couples therapy. We would have to work through a lot of things. And there's a possibility that we might even have other relationships outside of the marriage sexually. If I wasn't attracted to you, if you weren't attracted to me.
Wait a minute. So are you saying that if you transition to a man, you would release me from my vows of fidelity to you sexually?
Well, fidelity was not in my vows. Hey, that's going back to a whole other thing. Is cheating grounds for divorce, right?
Oh my God. Well, it wasn't in the vows, and I guess it's fine, right?
I mean, what are you saying about polyamorous people? What are you saying about people who have open relationships? Are they not supposed to be married? How dare you? So here's the thing. If I went this far to change my gender, I think some negotiation is allowed here.
This just got real weird, real fast. Oh my God, why did we choose this topic? Why did we choose this topic?
I mean, it's really good food for thought. I think at the dinner table tonight, everybody should have this discussion.
Yeah, for sure. Rare Camellia says, open marriage is not a marriage, she says.
Okay, then why does it have marriage attached to it?
Okay, why don't we treat marriage contracts like all other contract laws, says Quest Fanning. That's a good point. Interesting point.
If you breach this contract, sign here.
This Family Friday is taking all kinds of turns, says Andy Hofferman.
I think if anything, you should be even happier to be married with me because I pretty much put up with anything.
No, I do really be careful about what you, Stephanie. You can't take, this is live, okay? So you can't take back anything that's said here. It's live. We've dived off the end of the pier now, says Studio 314. Tolly Owens is bringing us back down to earth. She says, it's an act of selfishness to disregard your spouse for your own comfort and happiness. if you knew you had these tendencies beforehand, you married under false pretenses for sure. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so like I don't know if that's, something, a disclaimer before you take your vows. I don't know if there's like a false pretenses thing going on.
Well, yeah, but I mean, here's the
Yeah.
thing. If you, let's say that in this scenario that the person who transitioned felt that way before they got married.
Right, and they kept it from you purposely.
Yeah, under that situation then, would you see that as grounds? Because you take the vows very seriously, the vows would have been under a false pretense, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that significant others lie to each other about before the marriage. It's so hard to say, it's like, what would you do if they lied to you about anything else?
Boy, that's good stuff. Chris Morrill says we're getting into Jerry Springer territory. Very true.
Yeah, we have been watching Jerry Springer lately, and maybe that's where all these thoughts are.
We have been watching Jerry Springer lately. I don't know why. I guess he's back. He's got a new show again, or he's come back, or something like that. I thought that it was over, but he's come back. So, anyways, you can text the show today with your thoughts on these two weird topics at 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586. Real quick, Stephanie, did you see this story yesterday? Maybe you missed it. About this gold heist that happened in Toronto. No, this is pretty wild. $15 million in gold and other valuables were stolen from a Toronto airport heist. This is kind of like the plot of the movie Goodfellas that we watched, where it's like this, like the Lufthansa heist from the 1970s.
Oh my gosh.
$15 million in gold and other valuables vanished from the Toronto Pearson International Airport on Monday. The cargo got offloaded and then it disappeared. Just very, very much like what happened in the movie Goodfellas. Remember that scene in Goodfellas where after they did the heist, all the people started showing up with all their like fur coats and their expensive cars and stuff?
Trying to remember this. I'd probably have to watch it again. We've watched so many of those like mafia movies. I can't even remember.
Goodfellas is like right up there with Godfather. It's like one of the best.
I think I get them confused.
Yeah. But anyways, so gold and silver is still very much in vogue these days, and
it seems like it.
And that's why we're proud to represent our gold sponsor, Lear Capital.
Yay!
At learaustin.com. We've got a great deal going on right now. If you call 1-800-885-2175 today, you can get yourself a free gold and silver informational packet. Have you signed up for it yet? I'm asking you today to sign up for a free gold and silver information packet. There's no obligation to buy, but it doesn't hurt to get more informed, just to learn a little bit more about your options.
I've been meaning to get information. I need to stop procrastinating.
I know, because we want to take a portion of our retirement and put it into gold and silver. It's good to have gold and silver on your person, in your safe, right, to be able to have something to hold. But maybe the smartest way to invest in gold and silver is to put a portion of your retirement into physical metals. You can do that with our friends at Lear Capital. Call 1-800-885-2175. I highly recommend, AP recommends Lear Capital. Visit them at learaustin.com. That's LEARAUSTIN.com. So Lear, and then my name, Lear like King Lear. We were talking about Shakespeare yesterday. Think so, but maybe. LearAustin.com is your precious metals leader. They've got great deals on gold and silver. They'll get you hooked up with more information if you want to invest a portion of your retirement. Head over to LearAustin.com. That's LeAustin.com. That's LearAustin.com. Do it today. Do it.
Do it. Don't procrastinate like me.
Exactly. Glad to have you here on the Wake Up America show. We are talking about whether or not your wedding vows are still valid if your partner transitions. That's kind of a serious subject here, but
I actually know people that this has happened to.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell, Steffi.
I mean, I think one example, I think they got divorced before it happened. So it was kind of like once they were single, then the transition happened.
Okay.
And then I've heard like in the news about people transitioning before and they actually stayed married and they tried to make it work out. So, everybody does, what they think is right. I think, again, this is uncharted territory.
Yeah, no, it is kind of like a weird, strange new world that we're navigating here, right?
Yeah. I mean, think about, how many people are drag queens, behind closed doors, right?
Yeah.
What if you found out your significant other did drag?
I boy, that would
I
be
mean,
tough.
you wouldn't have that problem because I'm a girl, so it's like.
Well, if you started dressing like a man, perhaps,
Right.
but it's much
Right.
more socially acceptable for women to dress like men
Right.
than it is for
Avril
men.
Lavigne's been wearing ties ever since the
Yeah.
90s.
Yeah, it's never like it's never like other than like maybe the Victorian era when it was like scandalous for a woman to wear pants.
Right.
Maybe that was the last time that anybody cared if a woman dressed like a man. So it's fine, but it's
Yeah.
not okay for men to dress like women, at least socially still. I mean, people like Harry Styles and
Yeah.
others are doing it now, and you'll see like more male celebrities are doing it.
Men wear skirts.
Yeah, they'll wear
that's
like
the trend.
skirts, right? And like some people will be like, "Oh, it's just like wearing a Scottish kilt." And I'm kind of like, "No, it's really not like wearing a Scottish kilt at
Right.
all. Like, if you're wearing a Scottish kilt, that's more masculine than what a lot of men wear typically on a traditional day. A Scottish kilt, it's definitely more masculine than the shirt I'm wearing right now. I mean, for God's sake, a lot of pink in this one.
Shirt.
I do too. I think
Great.
it's fun. I got it from Shein, Shein.com. A lot of people really like that site. You can get it for like $8. So very sad, says Barney Styles.
That's sad.
Yes. Chris Morrill says sometimes he misses my best comments and then reads the lame ones. Sad. Did you have a really good comment? Did I miss it?
Maybe so.
I have no idea.
Make it a super chat, then we'll really
Tolly,
notice.
there you go. Tolly, there you go. Give her a round of applause. Stephanie
Wink,
is.
wink, nudge, nudge.
There's a reason why Stephanie is my perfect bride, and I see signs of this all of the time when I listen to videos or people talk shows about people. What do you really look for in a man or a woman, or what do you really want in a wife or a husband? And the wives who tend to be the marriages that tend to be the most successful are the ones where the wife supports like the man's industry. And my mother did the same thing with my father, where Stonegate Farm and Nursery in the early days, like she was in the office pitching clients and contracts and doing everything she could to help my dad's business get on its feet, because she saw that as a sign, of long-term investment in our family, and it definitely was, and it worked.
It's her job, right? She did that for her job.
She took that on as a job. I'm not sure if like he paid her or not, or I don't think so. I think she just did it to build the business because it brought money into the household. But wives who support their husband's industry tend to be ones where it's a strong marriage. And certainly you are supporting my industry for sure. I mean,
I supported it before we were married, before we were friends, before everything.
Oh, for sure. But I mean, even now more than ever, you step up and take an active role in managing my business affairs.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I get up on Saturday morning saying, I'm excited to start designing some graphics for the shop.
I know. Yeah. She loves making.
Nobody has to pull my arm.
No, I know. And writing children's books together, and our next merchandise shop, that we're going to be opening up here very soon. Stephanie steps up and helps and doesn't ask for anything. She just steps up and does it and makes it happen, does shipping of stuff, helps to clean up. And, this Mises bust, for example, is a good one.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at this. So I printed it, and Stephanie takes the busts that we make, like the little 3D printed figures, and she cleans them up and paints them. You guys, it's so funny. Sometimes Stephanie walks in the house and she's got this like this mask. She's got a gas mask on.
A pink mask to protect me from the fumes.
She's got a pink gas mask on, and she comes in after painting the little statues that we send out. We haven't sold any Mises busts yet.
We haven't. I'm actually really shocked, to be quite honest.
I think it's because not a lot of people necessarily know who he is.
And that shocks me even more. I'm like, who doesn't know Mises? Because in the libertarian world, he's the man.
Yeah, for sure. But also maybe we haven't advertised it really just enough for apforlibertyshop.com. The Ludwig von Mises bust. But we made this large one here for sale initially, and we're working on a smaller one. Maybe it's just a little bit too out of people's price range for the big one.
Who would you want a bust of?
Yeah,
in the chat, who do you want to see ahead of?
Yeah, interesting question. Who would you like to see us create a 3D printed figure of and put in apforlibertyshop.com? I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on that one. So
yeah, because we want to make what you all like. We're doing this for you.
All right, so let's move on. What do you say? Move on to our next topic, Stephanie.
Yeah, I think we've depressed people enough.
I think we have, yes. 16 and scandalized them. 16 life choices you shouldn't have to justify.
Oh yeah, your blood was boiling over this one.
Well, it's just
Yeah.
so here's the thing.
Mhm.
There are absolutely things that I do in my life that other than I owe no accountability to anyone but you. You know, and to the people who I love in my family and who my behavior reflects on.
Yeah.
My behavior reflects on you, it reflects on my dad, it reflects on my brother, it reflects on my allies, and my friends,
Yeah.
right? So if, for example, if I were to do something stupid, people would go to Camellia and say, Camellia, your friend Austin is acting like a loser, you know, doing this kind of crap or whatever. You know, what's going on with him, right? So I think if I try and think before I do something, how would this reflect on people who are in my circle, if you will, right?
That happened before we were even together.
Oh, really?
Yeah. One of my Jewish friends messaged me about your views on circumcision, and he was like, "Hey, I heard Austin talking about circumcision. What does he think about it?" He was almost like judging me because I supported you. It was really interesting.
Yeah, and but the thing is that I understand and appreciate that you can't please everyone, and you shouldn't try. But you should think about how your behavior reflects on other people, and life choices that you shouldn't have to justify to anyone else. The headline just got my blood boiling because I'm like, you know, sometimes accountability is important. You should have
Sure.
some level of accountability. Not everything has to be, you know, democracy doesn't have to reflect on every decision we make in our life. But when I read headlines like this, I'm just kind of like, oh, this just sounds like some lefty liberal who's like, I can do what I want, right? My body, my choice, your wallet, right? Some of these things I agree. I
Yeah.
understand. Some of these things we'll disagree. Let's go through this list. Oh, look at this. Somebody just went to apforlibertyshop.com. Here's a girl. He bought the Ludwig von Mises bust. Hey, hell yeah, dude.
So touched.
I know. Thank you very much, Andy. We can meet up and we can give it to you in person if you like. He got the Ludwig von. That's our first sale.
And make it look all pretty for you.
Yeah, she's gonna polish it up for you,
Yeah.
Andy. So we'll get it ready. Thank you, Andy. We appreciate it. Let's give him another round of applause. That's literally the only one that we have right now. So we'll have to start making some more in case people actually start buying them.
So cool.
We'll see. Thanks, Andy. Thank you very much. Let's move on. Let's to this story. So 16 life choices you shouldn't have to justify to anyone else. Number 1, choosing to put yourself first.
Okay.
Okay.
Choosing to put yourself first.
During a television interview back when she was the first lady, Michelle Obama was asked if she thought it was at all selfish that she openly admits to making herself her first priority. She smiled and said, no, not at all. It's practical. A lot of times we just slip pretty low on our own priority list because we're so busy caring for everyone else. And one
That's
of the
how I am.
And one of the things, yes, and one of the things I want to model for my children is investing in themselves as much as they invest in others. So yeah, prioritize your own needs into your daily to-dos. I can't disagree with that to some extent, but also if you're the wife of the leader of the free world, you might have to, you know, sacrifice more than others, perhaps.
Right. I think it's good to start with these ideas. You know, when somebody is so low and not thinking good about themselves, I think it's good to push them to be like, you have to prioritize yourself. I do this in my therapy with my clients all the time. I say, prioritize you. It's okay. Because so many people, they just throw themselves aside and just give of themselves to everybody else. So I think it's good to start there. But then once you get used to prioritizing yourself, you have to have a limit somewhere where you still have to consider others. Because then you'd almost become selfish in ways.
It looks like Andy Opperman actually bought 2 Ludwig von Mises.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
No, so we've got the upsell app, and it looks like you took advantage of it. Good for you, Andy. Absolutely.
I'm gonna go make another one.
Yeah, exactly. That'll take me about 24 hours, but I will have another one. So we got to.
This weekend.
Yeah, we're gonna be printing
those things.
We're gonna be making. Just send Steffi to the mines. Send her back to work. All right. Thank you, Andy. We appreciate you supporting our enterprise. And you can visit apforlibertyshop.com and get your very own Ludwig von Mises bust as well. The second thing on this list here, in terms of things that you shouldn't have to justify to anyone else here, choosing to embrace your emotions. Never apologize for being sensitive or emotional. You can tell this is written by a girl. There's no reason to be ashamed of feeling something or expressing it if it's real to you. I don't know that it's necessarily feeling ashamed, but also like not everybody needs to like know about your problems. Showing your emotions is characteristic of truly alive and compassionate human being. Yes, and often it's perceived as a sign of being weak or broken. I agree. It's not the emotionally sensitive person who's broken. But here's the thing: it's different for guys and girls. Like it's okay for you to cry. It's not okay for men to be crying and
It
breaking
is
down in
okay.
public.
That's the
No,
thing.
it's not okay.
Society just puts these standards on men that are not
Yeah.
realistic. Men have emotions just like women do.
We can't show them. We can't show them because the problem is that not only do we lose the respect of other men, but we lose the respect of women as well. There's nothing that will earn a woman's disdain faster than seeing a man cry. Like
I love it when I see a man cry.
I
Seriously, it's so rare.
that's why I
When I
married
see
you.
it, I'm
That is why
actually
I married
connected to
you.
that man.
Stephanie, I understand, and that is why I married you because you
Yeah.
are a delightful, lovely, sensitive, like gorgeous creature, and you have a kind heart. But that's not how women.
And I understand emotions.
Yes,
Therapist.
I know. Okay, no, you understand emotions, honey, because you're a sensitive and intelligent individual, right? You being a therapist is just an extension of that.
Right.
But the reality is, yes, men have emotions.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that there's the bullying that occurs, but amongst men to prevent other men from showing their emotions, and men have to go to war, and we can't cry. When we've got to fight, there's no crying in war. Okay, or there may be crying in war, but that's going to be the losers.
To that, then they get PTSD because they're not allowed to express their emotions.
It
and
is.
share their experiences.
There are responsibilities that men have that women do not have. It is unfortunate, but it is the truth. And we don't get to suck it. We don't get to have a cry sesh and go back to work, right? We've got to there are just unfortunately struggles that men have that we're going to have to endure. And unfortunately, not being able to fully show the extent of our emotions is one of them. But here's the thing: not only do men police other men's emotions, but it's really men wouldn't care so much about what other men think, but we do care what women think. And there is nothing that will, God, how can I put this delicately? There's nothing that will dry a vagina faster than to see a man crying. And that is I would say typical for the average female, Stephanie.
That's sad.
It is very sad, but
pathetic.
oh yeah, but you learn that very early as a young man, because when we're young, as young men, we feel those emotions much more strongly, and we're much more, when we're kids, we're much more capable of crying and feeling our emotions, and we're much more emotional creatures.
Yeah.
But there comes a time when, I don't know how to explain this. There comes a time when you see a look of disdain in a woman's face. The first, like, you probably can't remember maybe a specific instance of this, but every man has seen a look of scorn on a woman's face that has chastened him. And I can't think of an example of an anecdote of this, maybe girlfriends, but maybe a girlfriend in high school, I can say, because I was I won't say overly emotional, but emotional and more sensitive. And I learned a lesson. She cheated, right? But that was, yes, it's her fault, but I will say that my outward displays of emotionality was perceived as a weakness.
So maybe we more so need to talk about emotion regulation.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to have emotions, and you should never have to explain them to anybody, because how you feel really is how you feel. But I think how you express those emotions is probably something you have to explain to people, because some people, they express their emotions in anger and they get violent, and then they hurt other people.
Rudyard Kipling had it summed up for how men treat men. When you're wounded and left on Afghanistan's plains, and the women come out to cut up what remains, just roll to your rifle and blow out your brains and go to your God like a soldier. Rise in freedom. Good morning to Richard Bell. Thanks so much for tuning in. Nice to see you, Richard. Richard's my good friend from the state of New York. I think the last time I might have seen Richard was when we had a lobster dinner in Maine. It was one of wonderful days in my life. Yeah,
Sounds like a great gathering.
yeah, we had a really nice lobster dinner, and then I had to rush to get to the airport because we had to drive from Boston to New York. I can't remember what that was. So that was a wonderful day. All right, so let's talk about the third thing on this list of things that you shouldn't have to justify to anyone else. If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show, good morning. I'm Austin Peterson. My lovely wife Stephanie's joining me in studio. It's Family Friday on the Wake Up America show. And we're talking about 16 things you shouldn't have to justify to anyone else. I'll read Camelia's comment on the last one. She says, that's truly unfortunate. Emotion is not weakness. Men often feel the need to preface expressing emotion with a disclaimer. A disclaimer should never be needed. I wish that was true, but unfortunately it is the case that we have to that men do have to behave that way.
Talking about emotions shows bravery.
Right.
I mean, it's even scary for me to be vulnerable about my true emotions because we like to mask them. That's a coping mechanism. We like to hide them.
Yeah, Chris Merle says, just develop a substance abuse problem like a normal person. There you go.
Right, numb it. Just numb it. And then the emotions go away.
Justin says, all emotions go someplace. Even if we don't express them, they come out in very unexpected places and times. I don't know. I have some kind of weird normalcy regulatory thing, though. I don't know. You know how we talked about how my dad kind of used to have a temper, right? And I didn't inherit that from him. For some reason, I've always been able to control my emotions to a large extent, right? I've never even when I have emotions, you know what it is? They show themselves for me, not in necessarily my behavior, but when I'm stressed out, when you kind of feel my back, right? Sometimes you'll feel
it's
that
like
tension.
A somatic.
Yeah.
Or if you got an upset stomach, your stomach is actually very connected to your head. Yes, in terms of the nerve endings.
I'm pretty sure that everything is connected to your head, but
especially your stomach in particular.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's why people get an upset tummy when they're feeling really stressed.
My penis is also connected to my head.
Absolutely.
Very connected
Absolutely.
to my head. Yes. And but it's even more connected than your stomach.
But that's why, some men they can't perform when they're super stressed, right? Because it's all connected.
That's true. That's true. Ladies, let me ask you something. If a man was trying to seduce you and he was crying, and he's just he's acting all emotional. He's like, I love you, and I just love you so much. Is that gonna make you want to hop in the sheets with them?
It's true lovemaking right there.
Oh,
that is no style lovemaking. That is what all of us women dream about. Yes.
No, and all of us.
Yes.
Yeah, no. I think men dream about choking you out on the bed, and women dream about the exact same thing. Am I right, gentlemen? Yes.
No,
what? No, wrong.
Women like to be desired.
How dare you?
TMI. All right. Number 3, choosing to own your weirdness. That's what they say here.
Oh, I own my weirdness.
I sort of feel like people fake being quirky these days. It's kind of everybody wants to be what's her name? Chloe Sevigny, or who is that actress from the movie Elf with Will Ferrell? I really can't stay. Baby, it's cold outside.
I'm not sure.
God darn it, actress.
It's trendy to be weird, so everybody is trying to be weird.
Zooey Deschanel. So
Yeah. She was in 500 Days of Summer.
Yeah, and she was also in Almost Famous, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
But here's the thing, being awkward, it's kind of an act these days. People are just oh, I'm so weird and I'm so awkward and all this kind of stuff. I'm embracing my awkwardness, and it's kind of
Taylor Swift. Didn't she say something? She gave that speech at the university about being awkward, and it's okay to be awkward.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is fine. Again,
Yeah.
So we're all weird in some way, right? So, celebrating your individuality, I have no problem with that, because as an individualist, everybody's different. Own it, right? If you have your own weirdness, I agree. Stand out.
I used to feel insecure about being weird if people would tell me, "Oh, you're different, you're weird," But now I own it. That's me. That's what happens when you truly find yourself and your identity. You know who you are, and you're going to stand up for yourself.
For sure. If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show, I see all 30 of you over there on Rumble. Good morning to our Rumblers.
Hello.
Been trying to give you a lot more attention these days because we've been getting a lot more views over there. If you're enjoying this show so far, it's Family Friday, and my lovely wife Stephanie Peterson's joining us here in studio. We usually like to keep the conversation a little bit more light and talk about more lighter topics typically on Fridays with Stephanie. So that's
Leave
why
it to me to go real deep into things.
it has been a little bit heavy, a little bit weird this morning, but at least I think it's been entertaining.
Yeah.
If you're enjoying the show, the 35 rumblers who are watching right now, make sure you click like on that button and help us to get out in more people's feed, as well as on YouTube today. Don't forget, if you haven't clicked that like button, please do so. Help us to spread the message of freedom, because that's what we're all about here. Freedom. All right, number 5 on this list of things that you shouldn't have to justify to anyone else. Number 5, choosing to let go and not take things personally. You know what? I feel like I struggle with that a lot. So like,
Me too.
yesterday, somebody, because I used a picture of a witch to sell my "Call the Cops, I Don't Give a" shirt, somebody was like, "How is this conservative?" on Instagram, and I was like, I'm a libertarian. It's not. I'm not a conservative,
Right.
if you will. I'm a libertarian. And then somebody else was like responded. They go, he's not. He's a degenerate libertarian. And I was like, old me would have like responded to that. You know what I mean? Because you feel like the flames like inflame. You like feel inflamed. And I had like a really good comeback. But then I was just like, who cares? Like, maybe nobody's even going to see that. Like, the person who even said that probably isn't going to see your response. Like, let it go.
Just moving on to the next person.
Yeah, they don't care. Yeah. What are you going to do? Like, it doesn't effing matter. No one gives a crap. Let it go. Right? Even if they meant something personally, don't let them know that they actually got to you. Right? Don't tell it on your podcast the next day for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is really hard to let go, especially when you're more of a sensitive individual like me, because I care a lot about what people think.
Yeah.
And I think the hardest thing for me is when people close to me say something, and I really have a hard time letting those things go because, I care about those people. Their opinion matters to me.
Right.
Yeah.
So another thing too that helps is don't get yourself involved in other people's personal drama. Stay out of other people. Keep your damn nose out of it, right? Just
Absolutely.
like shut up, sit back, and just thanks, Nathan. Have a good day, man. Good weekend. See you later, Nathan. Appreciate you very much. That's Nathan, our buddy who helps us out with the show in the morning. We appreciate him very much. Let's give him a round of applause. Yeah.
Yeah.
But another way to not have problems of your own is to stay out of other people's personal drama. It's like when you see people, and I know the strategy crazy, you see people on Facebook and they're always getting involved in putting themselves in the middle of other people's shit.
I know. Or
leave it alone.
They want you to be involved in their drama. They're like, here, let me tell you a story about myself that's so personal and private, but I want to put it in public on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. They just can't help themselves. They've got to draw other people into their drama, and and other people are more than happy to get in. Like, we had a friend of ours who had a huge traumatic episode in their life, and everybody's jumping in, and all of these people are like, and it's mostly females.
Oh, yes.
Who are jumping in and who are like, you need to do this and you need to do that and do all that stuff. And it's like, if that person had taken those females' advice and followed their advice, it would have destroyed her life.
Absolutely.
What is it with these ladies and the terrible advice that they give? It's just awful.
And then the men, if they think you're good looking, then they're just going to simp for you and be all supportive.
Oh, God,
I
they're
love
the worst.
you. You have my support. I'm here for you.
You're so beautiful. There's nothing wrong with you.
Let's get a coffee.
Let's go get a coffee. Yeah, exactly. Let's get a coffee and talk about it. You can cry on my shoulder. Right. Exactly. All right. So the next thing that you shouldn't have to justify to anyone else, choosing to forgive others. That's what this list is.
Well, some people do get mad at others when they hear they've forgiven somebody who's wronged them. Like, they judge them for that. They're like, how could you forgive that person? They were evil, blah, blah, blah. And then also the other way around. How could you not forgive that person? You're so insensitive. You're so selfish, So it's like on both sides of the spectrum, people get upset at you about forgiving or not forgiving.
Forgiveness is a rare thing these days.
Yes.
And I think it needs to happen more often, to be honest, because we all screw up. We all make mistakes. Sometimes we make big mistakes. But the problem is that and in my life I've seen this, people cut other people out of their lives, and they're just like, people who really matter are family members and stuff. And they don't talk for years.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Well,
life
here's
is too
the
short.
thing,
Go ahead.
though.
Yeah.
So the definition of forgiveness does not mean making amends. That's where we put them two together. But no, that's not correct. Forgiveness is truly letting go of that pain within yourself so that you don't have that negative energy wearing you down. But it does not mean that you have to, be friends with this person again.
If you're just tuning in the Wake Up America show, good morning. Happy Friday. I'm Austin Peterson, and I am glad and delighted to have my lovely wife, Stephanie Peterson, joining us here in studio today.
Bringing the mental health perspective to the discussion.
If you're enjoying the show today, make sure that you click that like button on the stream to help us spread the message. We appreciate you very much. And definitely make sure you drop a comment as well over on Rumble, because we get a lot of people who watch us on Rumble, but not so many people like to comment over there. And we'd like to up our interactions. So just introduce yourself. Say, hey, I'm, Blutreich, whatever.
From Germany.
69. Yeah. Just tell us a little about yourself, something interesting. We'd love to share it with our listeners as well. And we're grateful to have our audience over there as well on Rumble. It's nice to see it growing. Right now, we're talking about 16 things that you shouldn't have to justify to anyone else. Number 7 on this list, choosing to spend more time with the people you love.
I can see where that's a problem with like significant others.
Yeah.
Like some people, if they want to go hang out with their friends for a girls' night or, want to go visit family members or something, then that leaves the other person that you hang out with lonely and they might want your attention. So I could see where that happens.
Choosing to spend more time with the people you love. Like yesterday when we were talking about how nice it is that we can work from home and spend more time together. That was a nice moment.
But it's like if you started spending like tons of time with other people and like I was just left at home all the time by myself, I'm sure we'd have to have a conversation about that. Like, hey, how can we compromise here and make sure you have a good balance?
Well, it's a good thing that you're smoking hot because it makes it much more fun.
Thank you.
Number 8, choosing to go at your own pace. That's something that you shouldn't have to justify to anyone else.
I mean, in a work environment, you kind of have to justify that to your boss because there's certain parameters you have to follow to stay employed.
Right. Here's what the article says, though. Don't judge or berate yourself for how long your journey is taking. Whenever somebody says your journey or my journey or something like that, my eyes start to kind of roll in the back of my head a little bit.
That's therapy terminology.
Yeah, it is a bit of a race to the grave, if you will. So you do need to take advantage of the light while the light's burning, right? Here's what they say the lesson is here. The lesson is simple. Great things in life don't happen when society tells you they're supposed to happen. They happen when the time and conditions are right. The counterpoint to that would be, we were talking about Ray Kroc yesterday and we were watching that video about the founder.
McDonald's.
And he didn't start, blowing up McDonald's until he was 54 years old, right? And that's when he started, turning those franchises around.
Right.
So there is a chance, as you get a little bit older, to still be able to, have your magnum opus, if you will.
Absolutely. I mean, in therapy, I always encourage people to be patient with themselves, give themselves grace. Because if you're like freaking out while you're trying to do something, you're probably not going to make good decisions. So you do have to think through things very clearly in order to have a good outcome.
16 things you shouldn't have to justify to anyone else, according to this article. Number 9, choosing to fail forward. Now, this one I'm totally on board with. The moments when you find yourself standing face to face with an issue you've battled before, one bearing a lesson that you were sure you'd already learned, remember, repetition is not a failure. Ask the waves, ask the leaves, ask the wind. Repetition is required to evolve and grow.
Oh, yeah.
And repetition allows you to fail forward. We learn the right way on the way. Failures are opportunities to begin again smarter than you were before.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I'm definitely, I used to be really bad at that. Every time I messed up, made a mistake, I'd get so down on myself and be like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't even be able to do this anymore. For example, like when I first started sending out the killdozers in the box, I didn't really understand the idea of packaging things safely and putting Fragile on the box. So we actually had a couple that like got destroyed in the mailing system because I didn't package them very well. And so I had to fail forward. I had to learn. We had to reprint some killdozers. I had to learn how to package appropriately,
I mean,
just so that we could get them safely.
the thing is, people who know me and know me well know that like my career has been predicated on failure after failure after failure.
Right.
But I have had successes, and the successes had to come through the failures. And in order for me to be able to be where I'm at today, I had to fail. And thankfully, right now our enterprise is actually working, but it's because of the failures of the past that I've had. I've tried this before, and it didn't work before. And now it is working, right? So I had to fail before to be able to be successful now.
Just like Lincoln. I mean, he ran for president, what, 7 times?
Did he? I know he
That's
ran
what
for
I heard.
office like 7 times. I don't know president, but I
Yeah.
think for office 7 times. But let's move on. We've still got lots more to go, and we've got 20 minutes before the show is over.
Okay.
Number 10, choosing to forgive yourself for past errors in judgment or immaturity. I will say that I do struggle with forgiving myself for things.
Me too.
I'm definitely my strongest critic.
Yeah.
But and I definitely don't approve of some of the things that I've done in my life, but I am who I am. Right?
Absolutely. I always say for anybody who's struggling with self-forgiveness, know that the lens that you're looking at these past mistakes with, this is the lens of your current self. Your brain is so different from that brain long ago when you made these mistakes or said these certain things. So you just have to remember that is that you know so much more now than you knew then. And so you are deserving of respect and you're deserving of forgiveness.
Yeah, one of our listeners just dropped a comment over on Rumble. Americano just dropped a comment over there.
Hello, Americano.
Let's take a look. What did Americano have
We've
to
got
say?
German, American, everything.
Yeah, exactly. Americano says, we don't need more gatekeepers. Just say, can you say SpaceX is BS already? Why gatekeep? Why do all these truthers try and gatekeep? It's a lie when you hold back.
So what are we gatekeeping?
I have no idea.
They're probably responding to the title of your show.
Yeah, the SpaceX conversation. They're probably watching it from the SpaceX part. Not exactly sure what they mean though. Americano, would love to have you extrapolate. Tell us what you really mean.
About SpaceX.
Exactly.
Tell us.
He might think it's BS.
Right. That's cool.
Love to hear from
Whatever
you on
you
that
feel.
Yeah, send us a message. Let us know what you think about that.
You do not have to explain your emotions.
Right now, though, we did talk about SpaceX earlier. Right now, we're talking about 16 things that you shouldn't have to justify to anyone else. Number 11 on this one, choosing to dress comfortably and owning it.
Like the people at Walmart wearing their PJs?
I'm not sure about that one, but I guess they say you don't have to apologize to everyone for not looking a certain way.
Right.
I remember when I was in college, that was when we were first starting to have the conversations about how to dress on college campuses, because it was at that time in the late 90s, early aughts, that students started showing up to class in pajamas.
Oh, yes. That was the trend.
That
I
was
remember this girl wore slippers to school.
Yeah, they would that was I went to college in 1999.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing people walking to class in pajamas, and people were talking about it. Like, can you believe that students are showing up to class wearing pajamas and all that stuff? And so it kind of became a deal where like you were too cool to like dress up for class or what have you.
Now yoga pants have replaced the pajamas.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, I think it's an upgrade, but 16 things you shouldn't have to justify to anyone else. Choosing to dress comfortably and owning it, I guess. I mean, at some point, I do have to say, I think I disagree with this because, put on some damn clothes for God's sakes. Like, show that you're a sophisticated individual, that you know how to dress.
Yeah.
I would think that would be a sign of intelligence, in my view. When you see somebody who's got a big greasy butt stain on their sweats. At McDonald's, at people of Walmart, do you think that person really has a lot to say? Or like, here's the thing: would you take advice from somebody who had big greasy butt stains and wore sweatpants every day?
Probably not.
I mean, it can't all be Mark Zuckerberg.
It's those uber geniuses like the Bill Gates types when they're hermits and they're like programming.
Like Mark Zuckerberg.
We watched in Japan, what do they call those people who are hermits and they don't leave their house and they just do video game programming?
Hikikomori.
Yes. So
they don't go outside. The thing is that, you subject other people to your appearance when you appear in public.
Right. So there's a time and a place. Right. I mean, it's just about social expectations and appropriateness.
I do think that there are, I do think that the loosening of standards of dress codes when appearing in public has been to the detriment of society. That's just my opinion, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on that one. Barney Styles says that started in the 80s. Okay, Barney, geez,
Yeah, I mean, I was
educate me.
born in the late 80s, so I have no idea.
Yeah, early 80s baby for me. All right, so number 12, things that you shouldn't have to justify to anyone else. Choosing healthy habits.
Choosing healthy habits. Yeah, because a lot of people give you a hard time. Oh, why are you drinking water?
You don't,
Why aren't you eating this donut?
Or exactly. Or you need to eat a cheeseburger because she's too skinny or something like that, right? So for some reason, people tend to be skeptical that a person would actually just want to treat their body right and not be perpetually concerned with their shape and size. Eat healthy because it's good for your health. Ignore the critics. It's not, I don't know about that,
To an extent,
If
again,
somebody cares about you, they're going to tell you, hey, you need to get on the treadmill and lose some weight, and you need to stop eating so many so much junk food, right?
then there are some people who are such sticklers about eating healthy, and they won't have any fun at all.
Yeah.
And those people are almost like Debbie Downers. I used to be this way. I used to make sure everyone knew I was a vegetarian.
Yes.
And so I feel like I was a Debbie Downer in that aspect, because I'd be next to them like, that poor cow.
Oh, that poor pig.
And then everybody felt depressed afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a Debbie Downer. Choosing to work extra hard on your goals and dreams. This is another one that they're saying you shouldn't have to justify to anyone else. When people try to inspire you, they'll often tell you things like, follow your dreams, listen to your heart, find your inner voice and let it sing. In fact, dream and don't stop dreaming until all of your dreams come true. Now, that's fine, but the problem is that a lot of people dream, but that's all they do. Don't be one of them. You have to actually get something done.
To Elon Musk.
I was watching a really good video with Steve Jobs the other day when he was actually talking about this subject. I'll see if I can find it. But he was talking about how he was asked the question, what separates dreamers from doers?
Yes.
And in it, he history and memes. Let's see if this is.
Dreamer.
Yes, but he explained the difference between why he was. Let's see if
why he was a doer, not a dreamer.
Why he was a doer, not a dreamer. He told
us very much
story.
A dreamer.
Yeah,
and I would be fantasizing about all the things I could do, but I was just too anxious and scared to do them and take the risk until I quit my job and moved to Missouri, and then all that fear went out the window.
Yeah, for sure. I found the clip. Let's see if it's on YouTube. What separates dreamers from doers?
No, I've actually always found.
Hold on. Here we go. Here's the clip. I'm going to pull it up. Let's go to our Twitter weirdness scene while we got a few minutes. Drop it in the tab. There you go, guys. This is how you know it's live. We're doing this live.
Impromptu.
Take a listen to this.
No, I've actually always found something to be very true, which is most people don't get those experiences because they never ask. I've never found anybody that didn't want to help me if I asked them for help. I always call them up. I called up, this will date me, but I called up Bill Hewlett when I was 12 years old, and he lived in Palo Alto. His number was still in the phone book. And he answered the phone himself. He said, yes? He said, hi, I'm Steve Jobs. I'm 12 years old. I'm a student in high school, and I want to build a frequency counter. And I was wondering if you had any spare parts I could have. And he laughed, and he gave me the spare parts to build this frequency counter, and he gave me a job that summer in Hewlett-Packard, working on the assembly line, putting nuts and bolts together on frequency counters. He got me a job in the place that built them. And I was in heaven. And I've never found anyone who said no or hung up the phone when I called. I just asked. And when people ask me, I try to be as responsive, to pay that debt of gratitude back. Most people never pick up the phone and call. Most people never ask. And that's what separates sometimes the people that do things from the people that just dream about them. You gotta act.
That's
and you've
so
got to
true.
be willing to fail. You've got to be willing to crash and burn. With people on the phone, with starting a company, with whatever. If you're afraid of failing, you won't get very far.
Oh, I'm very afraid.
Oh, I mean, if anything, that probably applies even more to the Elon Musk, the rocket yesterday. You got to be willing to fail. You got to be willing to go boom, right? To go on, try and get off the launch pad and then build up that rocket and that space program so that we can actually have a future in space and make it to Mars.
One day when we're at Mars, they're not going to be like, oh, but he made a rocket go boom, so he's such a failure. No, they're going to be like, wow, he made it to Mars. Look at that.
Yeah, I think my brother would probably attest to this as well. I've always been a person who was willing to ask, who was a doer, right? And I have my dreams, but I do them. I go out there and I try for
Oh,
them.
you do very much. I mean, you call people on the phone, ask for the help you need, the resources you need.
Absolutely, because
Yes.
the reality is that if you don't ask, you don't get.
Right. You were the first campaign that inspired me to phone bank. I was literally shaking with April Lenigan on the phone. We were practicing phone banking, and I was so scared.
I remember, this is a silly story, but when I was a little boy, the Fox Channel 41 Fox Kids Club was having a contest, the X-Men on the Go contest. And my dad was always kind of a cynic and was always like, oh, you can't win that stuff. Yeah, it's like, you throw a wet blanket over that stuff. But here's the thing. So I remember the X-Men on the Go contest, and what you had to do in order to enter to win, and if you won this portable TV VCR, which was like at the time that was big technology.
Oh yeah.
And a year subscription to X-Men comic books and a whole bunch of other stuff, right? The great prizes. So I really wanted to win, and so I decided that I was going to send. I envisioned in my head, okay, how can I win this contest, right? Because you would think, what's going to happen? Well, they're going to throw all the envelopes in a big bin, and then they're probably going to like spin it around, and then they're just going to grab one out at random, right? So how can I win? Increase my chances of winning? Well, one, I think I wrote 10 letters. And like I just was like, I'm going to write as many letters as I can to try and fill it up, right? To try and get more entries.
Yeah.
And then I thought to myself, okay, think outside the box, Austin. You're the person who's going to select the winner of this. How can I make my chances better of winning more than just doing more entries?
Yeah.
So I actually brought out my colored pens, probably borrowed my brother's colored pencils.
Oh.
And I drew all over the envelope the pictures of X-Men.
Oh my God.
On the envelope.
That special touch on it.
Because I thought to myself, they're going to see it.
Oh yeah, they do.
And they're going to pick it out, and they're going to take out the colorful envelope versus all the other ones.
Such a creative spirit.
A month, I will never forget, a month later, I was in the office at Stonegate Nursery, which is adjacent to the house. And I heard the phone ringing, and I answered the phone. They go, hello, is this Austin Peterson? And I remember my heart dropped because honestly, it was around that time that Justin and I were starting to get some weird phone calls from like perverts who were like trying to molest us.
Really took a turn.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that another time.
Those were back in the days when like you would get perverts calling your phone. So I
never had a pervert call me. Okay.
Yes, with Sue from Channel 41. Yes, Justin remembers this. So, anyways, I was kind of afraid because I was nervous that the person was calling to try and like talk to molest me. So they go, Austin, and I'll never forget. They go, Austin, you won the X-Men on the Go contest at Channel 41 Fox Kids Club. I was screaming, oh
my God, and your dad was like,
well, yeah, exactly. So I was like, so what do I need to do to collect my prize? They're like, well, you just need to come to the station and come and pick it up and stuff. And I was like, okay. So I remember I ran to the house from the office and I was like, Dad, I won. And he's like, no, that's not. You didn't win. It's a trick.
It's a scam.
It's a scam or blah 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 blah. And I was like, no, you got to call him, right? And so.
If it were for your dad, gosh.
I know.
I never would have won that thing.
No, well, here's the thing. So they called the station and they verified that I did win. And I remember my mom, and I think Justin came with me, but we went to the station and I loved Jurassic Park at that time. So I had this really loud, I like loud shirts. So I had this loud Jurassic Park shirt and my buzz haircut and my glasses. And I got to meet Sue from Channel 41. And I had I got the TV VCR, which is probably still at the farm somewhere, tucked away. And it had a gigantic battery on it, so you could watch videotapes and stuff and sit on your lap. It had like a 3-inch LCD monitor at the time, liquid crystal display when that was a big deal. And but the way that I won was that not only did I increase my chances by winning by frequency, but I also did something special that I thought would catch their eye. And so that was kind of like, you can think that something will be entirely random, but even things that appear like they might be random might have an opportunity for you to stand out from the crowd. Yeah.
I definitely can relate to that, because one time I put a smiley face on a fax that I sent over to a company, and the lady called me and she said, I got to your fax first because you put the smiley face. That brightened my day.
There you go.
So it's like, people really do like things that are different and special.
They do.
That is so cool. I really love that story. That's inspiring. Wow.
Number 14, we got 2 more things to go before we go. Choosing to be positive through your challenges.
Yeah.
Positivity does not mean ignoring the negativity around you. It means overcoming the negativity within you. The peace, happiness, and effectiveness of your life greatly depends on the quality of your thoughts. Not every day is going to be good, just like, not every day this week has been good. I've had some rough. Tuesday was a rough day for me.
That's fair.
But then the next day was great. So like, what was it, 2 days ago? When we were like, we didn't make a single sale at apforlibertyshop.com, and we're like, nobody likes our Mises bust.
I know.
And then yesterday we had like 8 sales before 9 a.m. or something like that. And, then today we sold 2 Ludwig von Mises busts, right? So, there's every day is a new chance and a new opportunity for you to find happiness.
That's right.
That's how you ought to look at things, right? Choose to be positive. And honestly, I'm not a believer in spirituality, but I do believe in a sense of cosmic karma, that what you put out there, the vibes that you put out will come back, right? I just believe in that. It's always worked for me, right? By putting out positive vibes. I mean, honestly, not to brag in a way, or to, just kiss my audience's butt, but I mean, think about the quality of my wife, right? Think about the quality of my friends. Think about the quality of all the friends on the Cantina crew and of all the viewers, right? So we're small, but we're mighty. We're plucky, right? And all of these people are high quality, interesting individuals, right? So so to me, I think, you all are a sign of my success, because, I've brought people around me that are, have positive spirits, right? And that uplift one another, and that are an encouraging, healthy community.
That's how I got through my mom having cancer, and she's in remission now. I mean, I remember when you brought up during your campaign on one of your live videos that my mom has cancer, and to keep her in your thoughts, and everybody was giving us positive messages and prayers and everything. From that moment on, my mom and I felt so uplifted, and being positive during a cancer battle is very, very important, no matter what your prognosis is.
Yep, for sure.
Yes.
For sure. We got 2 more things we got to get through because the show's almost over. Choosing to give yourself hope. Things you shouldn't have to justify to anyone else.
Kind of like positivity.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, I feel like it. Let's hit number 16 then. Choosing to feel completely justified already without anyone else's approval. You don't need a standing ovation or a bestseller or a promotion or $1 million, although that would help. You are enough right now. You have nothing to justify. That I disagree with. I definitely feel like this is like female self-affirmation. You women, you lie to each other. And I think this is lying to yourself. Maybe you don't need a standing ovation or a bestseller or $1 million, but never, ever let someone think that they are enough just now. I think that you're doing someone a disservice, because absolutely everyone can improve and has room for improvement and should be looking at improve. Stephanie, you know this about me. Literally every day I'm working on adding new skills or doing something, trying to learn something every single day. If I thought I was good enough already when we first started this show back in September, we probably already have shut this show down. We probably couldn't have afforded to do what we're doing right now, to bring Nathan on, and for me to hire contractors, and to invest more time and energy into merchandise and things like that.
That's the number one attractor for me, is a go-getter.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You are a go-getter.
I know that there's something positive about patting you on the behind and telling you you are smart enough, you're good enough, and you're good enough just as you are right now. But I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you right now that you may be good now, but tomorrow is your opportunity to be great. So get better, right?
And don't justify how long you're taking at getting better, right?
I have no idea. It's up to you. Hey, the Wake Up America show is brought to you by listeners just like you. Before you go, real briefly, why don't you check out apforlibertyshop.com? We got a brand new shirt. This could be you, but you playing. See this surfer bro right there? Check out these smoking hot chicks. Well, you know why he's got these smoking hot surfer chicks? It's because he's got his Call the Cops, I Don't Give a Rat's Patoot shirt. Yes, that's right. Whether
So those chicks wearing a Trump bikini.
Yeah, exactly. Whether you're a surfer dude or a witchy woman, call the cops. We don't give a you-know-what. Check out apforlibertyshop.com and all the awesome Liberty merchandise that we have over there. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison would all endorse AP for Liberty Shop if they were alive today. Check out this awesome Don't Tread on Me embroidered snapback hat. Remember, shipping in the United States is free, so you don't have to worry about things like that. All right, Stephanie, anything else that you want to say before we go?
Be free. That's my sign off.
That's right. It's been a good show today. We only did a couple of commercial breaks, so as your thank you, I think you should go to apforlibertyshop.com and buy something anyway.
That's right. Like the Mises heads, we got to go paint right
We got to go make another one. I got to go
Yes.
print another Mises bust for Andy Opperman. Andy, we'll definitely see you again really soon.
Yeah, thank you, Andy.
Thanks so much for all the listeners. Make sure that you, before you go, click that like button before you leave, especially over on Rumble. To all of our friends over at rumble.com, 43 people watching right now. It's been a great show, and we're grateful to have you here and to make friends with you all. Bluetreich and Americano and Nelson and let's see, Quest Fanning, Doug H., Chris Morrill, Rare Camellia, Joni Rankin, Buddy Mansour, Studio 314, my brother Justin Peterson, big ups, Chris Morrill, happy birthday, Rare Camellia, all of our friends and family, Barney Styles as well, over on the Wake Up America Show, Cantina crew. We'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. The Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
I like shooting things, but whenever I can't shoot something, I like to cut things. My life isn't all about shooting and stabbing and cutting, though. Sometimes I have to do actual work, but when I work, I still like to have fun. And there's nothing less fun than trying to cut with a crappy knife. Thankfully, from the ancient sect of Christian knights, who also loved cutting and stabbing, comes a new implement that has received my personal blessing, the Templar Knife. Like the ancient sword of Excalibur, you don't choose a Templar Knife, it chooses you. You just decide what kind you want on the website first, however, and then order it online, and then it chooses you. The Templar Knife comes in a variety of shapes. As a man of culture and taste, I have decided I will never use a terrible knife again. And thanks to the inspiration provided by this excellent product, I have decided to launch a new crusade against anyone using less than superior knives. Join me, brothers and sisters, by visiting uppercuttactical.com/pages/Templar-knives. That's a lot of slashes. For that, you'll need a Templar knife. For 10% off, use code AP for Liberty and join me in a quest for glory, for liberty, for Christendom, for the Templar knife. Get yours today. Fire.
Hello, this is Barack Obama, and let me tell you why Austin Peterson stinks, and you should never pay attention to anything that he has to say. First of all, he's a libertarian, and we all know libertarians are idiots. They don't realize how important government is to everything that we do. I recently became aware that Austin has opened up a libertarian shop at apforlibertyshop.com. Now, I'm asking you as a personal favor to me that you never ever visit apforlibertyshop.com With all of the great Liberty merchandise there, the last thing that we need to do is to get people spreading this message around the country, because then they might start thinking that they don't need government. And that's the last thing that good Democrats like us want. So if you love democracy, like me, and hate freedom, then don't visit AP for Liberty Shop. Like I said, whatever you do, do not visit apforlibertyshop.com. I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
It is better to settle these matters in the courts than on the streets, and new laws are needed at every level. But law alone cannot make men see right.